one of the things we asked was the idea of becoming a better person, the idea of self-improvement, the idea that a person should work on his character is something that we see not just in the Jewish world. If you look at the bestseller lists, particularly in America, I'm not from America, but you always see bestsellers. How to be happy, right? How to win friends and influence people. The idea that someone wants to be more successful, the idea that someone wants to be a better person, is something that is recognized throughout the world. So what special contribution does Judaism have to make? Right? If we want to follow the ways, we want to follow our tradition, is it good enough if we simply pick up one of these books and try to improve ourselves? If we can become better people and it helps us and we are motivated, then great. But does that mean this is Jewish wisdom? Not really. So one of the principles we set out last time and tried to explain is that the concept of improving one's character is something that is actually part of the Torah itself, and that when the Torah was given on Mount Sinai, along with all the commandments, along with all the mitzvot, all the guidelines for improving one's character, and indeed all of the commandments that a person has to follow in order to improve oneself and improve one's relationships with other people were also included in that. And something we said, I seem to remember at the end of the shiur, at the end of the class, we said that there is one tractate, one section of the Talmud which deals exclusively with the improvement of a person's character. How he should be humble, how he should speak nicely to other people, all different aspects of how a person should work with other people. And this is part of the Mishnah. And the very first Mishnah in this tractate is called Avot. Yishbruche der Väter, right? Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers. The very first Mishnah begins with the words, Moshe kibel Torah miSinai. Moses received the Torah at Sinai, and he handed it over, he transmitted it to Yeshua, and Yeshua gave it over to the Zakenim, the elders, and so on and so forth, and they said three things. The introduction to the whole idea of relationships between one person and another, character building, is introduced with a concept that Moses received the Torah at Sinai, and this was included. When we come to other laws, when we come to the laws of blessings over food, or the damages when my animal harms your property, we don't see over there such an introduction. So what's the idea? So our rabbis tell us that a person should be made aware that when the Torah tells us how we should improve ourselves, that is also something that was given over to Moshe, given over to Moses, and that also forms part of our Torah. And therefore, what comes out of this is, what's significant about this, is that when a person is working on his own personal growth, this is also Torah, this is also Judaism. It's not just something that someone would find elsewhere. It is unique in its own way to Judaism. And this is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. That's one point that we said last week. Something else we said was that all of the mitzvot, every mitzvah is a means to perfect one's character. Even if it means what a person is allowed to eat and is not allowed to eat. Whether it means putting the mezuzah up on the door, whether it means wearing tefillin, whether it means blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, all of these things that we would think were somehow obligations upon us for some spiritual purpose, some tradition or whatever it might be, no. They are also designed to improve our character. They may be achieving other things as well, which they do, but everything is there. This is actually something we quoted, I think, in the name of the Vilna Gaon. He said that all of the mitzvot are there to improve the person's character. So that's what we're supposed to be. Judaism wants us to be better people. Some of the commandments, some of the mitzvot, it's more obvious. When we are told, for example, that we are supposed to love our fellow Jew, or we are supposed to not be jealous, then it is clear that we are trying, that the Torah is telling us how to improve our character. But other mitzvot also, even if it may not be directly clear, that a person, when we are told we're not supposed to eat meat and milk together, a person can think, what does that have to do with building my character? we are told that on some level this also improves the way a person is and his own personal development. Okay? The next idea we said was that if a person wants to improve, and we said everyone wants to improve. I remember asking, who doesn't want to become a better person? Everyone wants to improve. Everyone wants to be nicer. People have different ways about going about it. Some people think they're nicer than they really are. Or maybe some people think they're more nasty than they really are. But everyone wants to actually try to become the best person they can. And we said in order to do that, a person has to use self-control. A person has to take himself or herself and actually work to improve a person himself. It will not happen by itself. This idea of discipline is very important and central to Judaism. In fact, if anyone wants to achieve anything in this life, in this world that is meaningful, and perhaps if we think about things that we have done in our lifetime, whether it was being successful at school or university, or whether we made money, or whether we were able to achieve a project, or try to do some kindness, it generally involved commitment and focus and resilience. And therefore, so too, if a person is going to improve himself, which is really the purpose he was put on this world, it's going to involve self-control. It's not going to become easy. Anything that is valuable is never easy. Okay? That was the next thing. We also said that every circumstance, every incident that a person has in his life, it is given to him directly by God. Each person has his own special, unique role to play in this world. Our rabbis tell us that in the same way as that no two faces of people are alike, no two people have the same face, even if they're identical twins. However, in the same way that from the outside our physical beings are different, so too our minds are different and our souls are different. And that means that God implanted in each of us a special and unique soul, which means each person has his own special role to play in this world that no one else can play. And it's our job, in some ways it's our only job in this world, to work out what exactly that is, to decipher why was I put in this world? Has anyone ever asked this question for themselves before? Why was I put into this world? What was the purpose? Yeah? So each person has a unique role to play here. He has to find out what it is, and that everything that happens to him is uniquely given to him as an opportunity for him to grow and to become a better person. And with these tests, unfortunately, a person can also slip if he doesn't pass the test. That's one thing. There was something else we mentioned at the end, and I want to get into this a little bit more perhaps today, is the idea that even as much as a person wants to grow and as a person wants to invest in self-improvement, there are certain things he has to realize that are out of his hands. God will determine whether he will be successful or not. And therefore there are two other factors here that will determine whether a person is successful or not. One is prayer, the concept of prayer, that a person can turn to God and ask for assistance in his growth, in his process. That's one important factor. And the other idea is the idea of study. A person needs to learn. A person needs to learn what is a good person. Somebody here last time, I'm not going to ask who it was, we decided if someone decides to blow himself up on a bus, I wanted to suggest that that person's not a good guy. Not a good guy. We all agree such a person is not a good guy. Some people wanted to discuss it. But there are certain things that we know are good and certain things that we know are bad, right? We have to determine exactly what is good. Not everything is so simple as looking at a person who wants to commit suicide and blow up other people with him. That's clearly evil. But there are many, many things that are not so obvious. What is called grey areas. Grey areas. So what does a person do if he finds himself in a grey area? He has to know what's the truth. What does the Torah say? So in order to do that, he has to have a teacher, and he has to be able to study. So therefore the idea of prayer and the idea of study are both integral in terms of making and helping a person to improve. Okay, this is basically what we said last time. I don't know if this sounds familiar to everyone. It's good to see we have a nice group of people. We were getting a little bit worried before, but now we have everyone here. We're ready to start and go forward. I recognize a lot of faces, so I think most of you probably remember from last time. Okay? So a person wants to become the best person he can be. Okay? Who should he try to emulate? What should he try to aim for? There's a story here about someone who started a company. The company was called Silicon Graphics. This is a company in the United States, an IT company. Remember IT was a big boom 10 years ago or something, more, 15 years ago? And his name was Jim Clark. And he was becoming very, very successful. And they said, Jim, when are you going to know that you're going to be successful? When are you going to be able to tell? When are you going to say, this is good, I've achieved what I want to achieve? You know what he said? 10 million bucks. 10 million bucks, then I'm not going to pack it, I'm not going to retire, I've got much more to do. Then I'll know I've been successful.
But 9 million is not...
No, 10 million. 10 million. 10 million, he has to look after himself, he has to look after his children, maybe start to look after the grandchildren. 10 million doesn't go so far these days, but it's not bad. Okay? Then, that was at the beginning when he started with certain computer companies. Then he started a company called Netscape. Ariel, you've heard of Netscape? Yeah? Netscape. Mr. Clark, how much money do you want to make? When are you going to know you're successful? What did he say? 100 million. 100 million bucks. What's that? 60 million? 65 million euros? Suddenly wants more. He got his first 10 million. Now he wants 100 million. And then he started something called Healthion. You heard of that, Ariel? Can't be so big if Ariel hasn't heard of it. When will you be happy? 1 billion. I want 1 billion. Then I'll be satisfied. Okay? Now he says, this was written a few years ago, now he says, when I have more than Larry Ellison, I'll be satisfied. Who's Larry Ellison? Larry Ellison is the founder of Oracle. Have you heard of Oracle? Yeah. When I get to be as rich as him, then I'll be satisfied. How much is he worth? 13 billion. 13 billion. But I won't be satisfied. I have to... Milliard. I have to overtake him. Then I'll be happy. How can it be that this same man, who originally wanted 10 million, suddenly changed? No, it's not enough for me. Can we sympathize with Jim Clark? If we were to put ourselves in his shoes, yeah, and we were starting a little company, 10 million is a nice company. It's not massive. It's not a huge multinational company, but it's a big company. We can understand that 10 million is successful. Can we sympathize with him that he now wants more? Of course we can. Go on.
Yeah, because every human being is not satisfied about what he has, and he wants to achieve more than...
The question is, why did he think he would be happy with 10 million in the first place?
Because that was his claim.
That was his goal.
Yeah, his goal.
That was his goal. But once he achieved it, he wanted much more and then much more again.
Because, as I already said, we are not satisfied about what we have. We want to achieve more.
We always want to achieve more. So some people can call this greedy. You could say, he's greedy. Yeah? He wanted this, now he wants more, he wants more. How much more do you want? You ask your father for an ice cream, he gives you an ice cream. Now I want another one. After a while it becomes rude. But no, we understand. This is the nature of a person. They always want to achieve more. Why? Because they have a hunger. They have a desire to be more and more and more successful, which is good. But when it's with money, the Talmud tells us, however much money a person has, it's not enough. If he has 100, he'll want 200. If he has 200, he'll want 400. So a person will never be satisfied. So if he gets as rich as Ellison, he'll want to be like Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is not the top anymore, you know that. There's another guy from Mexico. What's his name? You don't follow the rich list? I didn't see any of you on the rich list. There's a new guy, he's much bigger than Bill Gates. Whoever is, you have to be the biggest, you have to be the richest. If you're into money, you're not going to be happy until you've got more. For as long as a person is so focused on physical acquisitions, he'll always want more and more. That is our nature. So our goal is to be happy with what we have. Where should we want to always grow and become bigger and more powerful? In our own personal development, in our own self-growth. How big as people we can be. Not how many houses and how many homes we can have. It's very nice to be rich. It's very nice to be comfortable. If a person is poor, the Talmud considers him to be like a dead man. Really poor. Why? Because he can't focus on what he's here for. If a person has to focus on feeding himself and his children, and that's all he's worried with all day long, how can he fulfill his task in this world? It's very hard. So to be poor and to be destitute is not good. But if a person only wants more and more and more material possessions, he'll never be satisfied. A person will only be satisfied when he focuses when he changes his focus to work on his own personal growth. Someone wanted to say something?
Yeah, I have a question. But for example, a person who lives with the mitzvahs, yeah, in a good Jewish way, so to say. The goal is actually to live such still of life, yeah, to do mitzvahs, to learn Torah all the time. So it's the same thing, only in another way, yeah.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
A person should say.
Process, not in a goal to have all the money, but to become more and more money like
But instead of money, he wants, instead of working on his body and his physical possessions, he wants to work on his soul. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a famous verse in the Prophets that turned into a song by Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. I don't know if you've heard of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. And the verse says like this. He says, there will become a time when people will be hungry and they will be thirsty. They will not have hunger for bread, and they will not have thirst for water. All they will have is hunger and thirst for the word of God. This will be how it will be in the future. This will be what the person is ravenous, starving from. They'll just want to have this. We don't live in that world. We live in a world where a person has to make sure he has what to eat, what to dress, how to clothe, that his children should be well and warm and all of these things. But a person should also realize that he has to aim also for this, to make sure that he's also satisfied in terms of his soul, in terms of what he was put in this world for. The reason the person was put into this world was to nurture and to develop his soul. Yeah? Which is a very important point, in fact. Why? Because God gives us certain things when we come into this world. He makes this person with a very, very sharp brain and someone else with a less, not so brilliant. Yeah? If a person leaves at the end of the world, at the end of his life, he may have been recognized, he may have got Nobel prizes for all sorts of things. But in God's eyes, if he did not improve on what he was given, it's not worth anything. But there may be someone else who didn't achieve nearly as much as him, but nevertheless, he improved and grew and became much wiser and more disciplined. He will be considered to be a great person. What we consider to be great is not always what is considered great in the eyes of God who made us. So just because a person is not famous, just because a person is not rich, just because if you Google him, you don't have 140,000 entries, that doesn't mean he's not a success, right? And if he has too many entries, it's probably dangerous as well. It's not such a good sign. Okay? So this is the idea. This is the idea that personal growth is something that we should want to aspire to do. And in the same way as we can understand that someone has a desire for money, for material possessions, and always wants more, we should always want this in ourselves, in our own personal selves. Okay?
I'm not agree about this fact what Talmud says about a person that he is on the end of his life, because when somebody is living in Alaska and he don't have to compare with other things, but where he doesn't know about it. You know what I mean? He's living with that what he had, yeah, and he's lucky with that what he had. Yeah, it's a different stuff when he's moving to London and sees everybody driving by a Bentley or something like this. He's happy with what he had, and that's why he lives. In our point of view, he lives with in very poor circumstances, a very poor atmosphere, and with what we could not imagine. So it's very important to describe what is really poorness.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Talmud also defines what poor means. If a person hasn't got enough to sustain himself and to live, obviously it doesn't mean that you have to have a Mercedes and if you live somewhere else where they have old... No, it means a person who has to be concerned simply for his own survival. His whole focus is just to be able to keep living. He's a person who's considered to be dead. Why? Because he's completely consumed with survival. It's like an animal, right? So therefore he cannot develop. If someone lives in a place where the expectations are lower and he has a simple life, that's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not necessarily a poor person. He may be, on the statistics, one of the lowest income people, but that's fine. The problem is when a person lives in poverty and he doesn't have enough to get by on. I don't think it's a contradiction. Can we go on? Okay. So who should a person aspire to be like? This person wanted 10 million, then 100 million, however much he wanted Ellison. We are told that of the 613 mitzvot, one of them is, and I'll say in Hebrew first, v'holachta bedrachav. A person is supposed to go in his ways. A person is supposed to go in the ways of God. Okay? He's supposed to walk in the footsteps of God. So the Talmud says, come on. What does that mean? How are we supposed to be like God? So you know what it says? I'll quote. You're supposed to imitate him. You know what imitate means? Copy him, so to speak. In the same way as God gives clothes to the naked, in the Garden of Eden, he gave clothes to Adam and Eve, so too we should... Say again?
Actually, he took by himself, because there was the innocence.
Because of what?
Because there was the innocence.
They needed clothes, but he clothed them, it says. It wasn't necessary for them to be clothed before the sin. But once they did this sin, then they needed to be clothed because they had this acknowledgement of the embarrassment. Then they were needed to be clothed, and it said God clothed them. Okay? Then it says, just as he visits the sick, we see this by Abraham, he visits the sick, so too we visit the sick. Just as he consoles, when somebody has lost somebody in their family, we comfort them, he also consoles them. These are all different things that we see in the Torah. So we should do the same. So what are we supposed to aspire to be? We're supposed to copy God. Doesn't mean we're trying to be him, but we see what he does, and we try to do the same thing. He takes care of the poor, we should also take care of the poor. He makes sure that everyone has clothing and what to eat, we also do the same. He sees that someone is sick, needs to be visited. Abraham had his Brit Milah. He had his circumcision. It was allowed back then. Yeah? He had his circumcision. He went to visit him. He spoke to him on that day. We are supposed to emulate God. This is something we have to understand exactly what it means.
God also decide who will die and who will live. Are you saying that we also need to imitate?
Very good. This is one of the questions that is asked. It says, you know what? Maybe this is not exactly your question, but it also says that God is a vengeance, a jealous God. It says he's jealous. What does that mean? If someone goes and worships idols, he gets very angry. So we should also be jealous? There are certain character traits we have to understand what it means to follow him. But generally speaking, we see that how he interacts with his creatures, we are also supposed to do that. That makes us godlike. So when we say, who are we supposed to emulate? Who are we supposed to try to be like? Of course we should have role models. We should have friends. We should have teachers. We should have parents that we respect and we want to copy. But ultimately we have to say we have to try to be godlike. That is what holy means. Last time we talked about there's a mitzvah of being holy, of being separate, in being removed from things. That's the idea of holiness. There are different definitions that a person, even if something is permissible to him, he should still try to distance himself so he's not drawn after it. The idea of there's also a level of holiness which means going in the way of God, and that itself is the fulfillment of a mitzvah. Okay? So when we're talking about character growth, when we're talking about how we can improve ourselves and become better people, the real role model, so to speak, should be that to follow God, and that we know about him. Right? How much we really know about him, it's limited. It's limited, of course, because we are limited ourselves. But we see how he interacts with his creatures, that's how we're supposed to do the same. There's a story of a great rabbi, his name was Rabbi Abramsky. He was a great rabbi in Europe, and then he came to England. I think he became the chief rabbi of England. His name was Rabbi Yechezkel Abramsky, and he was someone who was knowledgeable in every single area of the Torah, of the Talmud, tremendous depth in knowledge. And he was seen walking along the street one day, and there was a little girl there. She was 5 years old, and she was crying. She was crying, and he went over to her and said, "What's the matter?" And she was sobbing. She could hardly speak. And she said, "Someone said that my dolly," my doll, is horrible. It's a horrible dolly. What a nasty thing to say. And he was very sad, and he sat with her, and he said, "You go and tell your friend that the rabbi says your dolly is not horrible. It's a very nice dolly." And this was the rabbi, one of the greatest rabbis living at the time, and he was walking on the street, probably completely consumed in his own thoughts of his own Torah. What he wrote, his novelai, the things that he wrote in Torah are things that are very, very difficult to even understand, the grasp that he had. And yet he stopped and he spent some time talking to this girl, and he kept her, and he by the time he left her, she was happy. And they went over to him and said, "Rabbi, is this what you should be doing? Isn't this what her mother should be doing? What are you doing?" And he quoted a verse, and it says in Isaiah, there will be a time, what does it say? Hashem, God should wipe away the tears of every face. And he said, the tears of every face should be wiped away. And he said, that means even a 5-year-old child, if she's crying, we have to wipe away her tears. We have to make her happy. This is part of emulating God. Sometimes we think that being a holy person means removed in the sense that we're not in touch with people's problems and people's feelings. No, this rabbi demonstrated that the idea of emulating God involves itself in everyday life as well. Okay? This is one aspect of going in his ways. There's another aspect that's brought down that was made very famous by the great Jewish philosopher called Maimonides. I think maybe we quoted Maimonides last time. And he talks about that when a person is trying to perfect his character or any particular character trait, he always has to aim for what is called the Shvil Hazav, the golden path. The golden path. What does this mean? He says every character trait, there may be one or two exceptions, but every character trait has its positive benefits and its negative parts. Okay? There are certain things that a person can learn or should have within them to some extent. But it's his job to make sure that he uses this particular emotion at the right time and not at the wrong time, and that he uses it to the right amount, and that he's able to judge how to act emotionally in a certain time. One of the things he says is the person has to always find the right balance in every character trait, and one example that he gives is the trait of anger. Anger, okay? Should a person be angry? We'd say, no, a person should never be angry. He says like this. He says the middle path of every person's disposition means a negative trait that he has to make sure that it's somewhere between the two extremes. The most extreme form of it and the most removed form. So it's not nearer to one than the other. For example, a person should not become angry very easily. Right? There are some people who lose their temper very, very quickly. That's not a good thing. Okay? It's not so easy. A person has to work on this. A person cannot say, I'm not going to become angry anymore. He has to work on it. He has to be focused on it. He has to learn about it. He has to make it part of him. A person can't say, I'm not going to become angry. Now, what does he do? He should be neither like a dead man without any feeling, right? With no emotion, doesn't get upset by anything. He shouldn't be like that. Nor should he become angry very easily and become enraged. So what should he do? He should become angry only over that is appropriate. What is right? It's fitting for him to become angry and not for anything else. And therefore, if he does this, okay, so here is a situation where it calls for a certain amount of anger. Maybe this is not anger inside me, but this is certainly a time to show anger. For example, a parent who has a child who runs into the road and he saves him in front of the car. What should the parent do? Should he be nice and say, don't worry about it? No, the parent smacks the child, or whatever he has to do, to tell him, don't you ever do that again. Would a person say this is a cruel father? Would a person say that's a cruel father who slaps his child? Some people probably would. And there may be something to say that there's other ways of disciplining a child. But the father has an obligation to teach his child that what he did was very, very dangerous and he must never do it again. And if he's a 5-year-old boy, if he's just spoken to, it may not do the trick. He has to do something to show him that he better not do this again. So maybe he'll hit him, maybe he'll shout at him, right? He'll show anger. That doesn't mean he's really angry and boiled up inside, but no, this is the time to show anger. So the Ramban, Maimonides, says that a person has to always find the area between the two extremes and exercise the anger only at the right time. And then, he says, if he does that, then in the future, he will not get angry at a time when he should not get angry. Right? If a person just blows up at anything, then he will get angry when he shouldn't, he'll get angry when he should, and he'll also get angry when he shouldn't. But if a person knows how to control his emotions, he's in control of himself, and he doesn't just blow up, that is how a person should aim. So he shouldn't be so insensitive and numb, and cold that he never gets upset with anyone. No, of course he has to. But he has to direct it and use it and channel it at the right time. This is something that is much, much more easily said than done. There's a famous statement of a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Yisrael Salanta. He was the person who started the Musa movement, this whole concept that the people who are involved in the study of Torah should not simply be involved in the learning of the Talmud and the Halacha, but they should also be focused on their own personal growth and their own personal character development. He said the following. He said it is easier for a person to master the entire Talmud. I don't know if you know how big the Talmud is. It's about 2,711 pages. And it's not like a storybook. Each page contains a lot. He says it is easier for a person to master the whole, to learn the entire Talmud, than to change and uproot one negative character trait. Amazing. A person can spend his whole life learning the Talmud. It's more difficult to change a character trait. Why? Because our emotions are so much part of us, it's difficult for us to actually take control of them, because we're so used to just letting our emotions run wild. One of the reasons it's so difficult, explains in another source, it says that since we were accustomed to have these emotions when we were very, very little, and a small child can't really control himself, right? He just does what he wants. He cries when he's hungry, he cries when he's tired, whatever is necessary, and he's entitled to do that. So too this becomes part of who he is, and this becomes a habit. So when he actually matures and he becomes an adult, these emotions still run in this way. So he says, very, very difficult. So this is what he says. If a person can control his anger to only be angry when he wants to, then in another situation he will not be angry at all. So too, he should not desire food other than that which is required for his health. This is not just spiritual, it is spiritual. It's not just emotional character development, but even a person's relationship to the material world. Yeah, how much food does a person have to eat? How much beer does he have to really drink? How many burgers does he really have to have? He should have what is necessary for him to live. What is necessary until he's satisfied. He shouldn't eat more. How many of us are just one more thing, just one more cookie or whatever it might be? He should only have that which is necessary. And without that he would not be able to live. Okay? So, and he says this is what it means to walk in his ways. To walk in his ways. Very interesting. The idea of working on one's character is intrinsically connected to which mitzvah is this connected to? It says the Rambam says Maimonides, this is a fulfillment of going in the ways of God. Because God only gets angry in those times when it's necessary. It says he gets angry when the Jewish people, we say in the Shema, yeah, I don't know who here is familiar with the Shema, in the second paragraph of the Shema we say, and if you go and stray after other gods, God will get angry with you. He is controlled. When he gets angry, it's for the right reason, it's at the right time. So too we should develop and work on ourselves and make a plan for ourselves so we will only show these emotions at the time when it is necessary for us to show them. Okay? There's another aspect of this as well that is also brought down. I wanted to quote this before, that he is also, when we go in the ways of God, it doesn't just mean we should make sure people have been fed and we should make sure they should be clothed and they should be visited when they're sick. It says he is merciful. He is merciful. So we should also be merciful. You know, we read in the Torah a few weeks ago, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story of Joseph and his brothers. You know Joseph? They decided to kill him, and then one of the brothers said, let's not kill him, let's throw him into a pit. Yeah? And then one of the other brothers, Yehuda it was, said, let's not throw him into the pit, let's sell him. Let's sell him. And they sold him and he ended up going to Egypt. So it says, what were these brothers thinking? We are told that each of the tribes of Israel, the sons of Jacob, were very righteous, holy people. What were they thinking? They judged him, they thought he had done certain wrong acts and that he deserved the death penalty. Okay? And they may have been wrong, they may have been right. But what they were intending was completely for the sake of heaven. Completely for the sake of heaven. So last week, which we read yesterday on Shabbat, we read in the Parsha of Miketz, we learnt that when they came down to Egypt to get bread, to get something to eat, because it was famine, there was hunger in the land of Israel, and they came in front of their brother. They did not know it was his brother. And his brother started giving them a terrible time. Joseph, he said to them, you are just here to try and look at the land, you're here as spies. And he locked them up. And do you know what they said to each other? You know why this is happening to us? This is happening to us because something that happened 22 years ago. Do you remember our brother that we sold? And we threw him into the pit, and then we sold him? we didn't have any mercy on him. He was our brother and we had no mercy on him. It's very interesting. They didn't say anything about the fact that they decided that he should be killed, or they decided they should be merciful, that he should be sold down to Egypt. What did they say? They said, we didn't have mercy on him. The thing that was lacking upon us is not that we did the wrong thing, that we lacked this midah, this character trait of mercy. And therefore, this is what we mean. Yeah? So this is what it means. To go in the ways of God means in the same way as God has mercy. Yeah? We all do many things that we shouldn't be doing, but yet God has mercy with us. He gives us the opportunity to do teshuvah. We talked about this last time also. So too we have an obligation to be merciful about everyone else. We should not say to our friends, because you did this, I will punish you this way, or I will treat you this way. No, we should be merciful. It's a very big character trait to be what is called in Hebrew mevater, to let things go. It feels very good as well. If a person can find himself in a situation where he has 20 reasons to bear a grudge, or to be upset with someone, or to say, no, I'm not going to help you because of this, and he says, you know what? Have it. It's very good for the soul. It feels good. Yeah. This is the idea. A person should be merciful. A person should be mevater, to let things go. If he wanted us to be perfect, if God created us, each of us, in our own special way, why didn't he just make us perfect? Wouldn't that be easier? Why didn't he just create us as perfect human beings? Be nice, no? We wouldn't get angry, we wouldn't lose our temper, we'd all visit each other, we'd be kind, we'd lend money, we'd trust each other. We're so nice, no? Why did he not create us like that? Could God not have created us like that? Could he not have created perfect beings? Yeah. Yes. Who did he create that was perfect? The angels are perfect. The angels sit up in heaven. No, they don't sit, they stand in heaven. And they sing out to God all day long. They do everything that's required of them. God says, go and do this, be my messenger for this, they go and do that. And then they just disappear. Why didn't he make us like angels? Why didn't he make us like angels?
We are making his
We're doing his will.
Yeah, we're doing
How?
his will. Every time. Maybe not in a...
But we upset him. We do things that we're not supposed to do. Does anyone here do things they're not supposed to do? I think so. Someone, somewhere here. Well, I do. Yeah? Why didn't he make us perfect? Shlomo, he could have made us perfect, no? No, he couldn't have. He couldn't make us perfect. What does he want? Who is on a higher level? The human being or the angel? Oh. What do you say? Who's human being? Who's higher? Who's on a higher level?
An angel has no...
Says that God loves us more than angels.
Really?
So
How do you know?
I heard it somewhere here.
Are you from Bulgaria?
Yeah,
You sound exactly like Ruth. What do you say? What's your name?
Michael.
Michael.
I would say human being is higher because human beings have a mission to bring the world holy.
Angels don't have the ability to make the world holy. Okay.
Only if the people can make the world.
What about the animals?
The animals cannot.
No, only human beings. So we are holier. We are holier than the angels. Wow. Yeah, Misha.
Do you really think that angels are
Real?
like real? I don't think so.
No?
Have you saw it?
No, angels are non-physical beings. Angels are not these things with little wings.
So
No.
it's like something else.
It's a spiritual entity. Absolutely. Spiritual entity. Everything that happens to a person happens, we're told, because Kodesh Baruch Hu, God sends an angel to fulfill that, to carry out that will. An angel, we think of angels as being these little things with wings. That doesn't exist. You're right. It's called a malach. Yeah, go on.
Before the answer on this question, of the discussion, I have another question that maybe will help to contribute explaining. Isn't it written in the Torah, Adam Yivrat Tzilmo? The God was created
In the image of God.
in the image of God. So, if you claim according to this sentence that human beings are not perfect, and human being was created in the image of God.
So God is also not
Must be
perfect. So God is also not perfect. That's a good question. A person was created in the image of God. What does it mean he was created in the image of God, though? I mean,
Like also a creator.
what's the difference? Is there any difference between God and man? What's the difference between us and him? Many things, right? He is a creator, we are creation. What is the difference between a creator and a creation?
But we are created.
We are created by him.
Yes,
And
we create also.
say again?
We create life also.
No.
Also.
Yes and no.
Yes, we do.
No.
Who said no? Shlomo. Sorry, I have to give Shlomo. Yeah?
The life was here, but we can change a couple of things, or we can make children, but still the life.
When we make children, who makes the child? I've forgotten who said what. When we have children, a husband and wife, they have a child. Who makes the child? Man or God?
No.
What do you say? Anyone else? Come on, there's another opportunity. There's another option.
Angel.
No!
No, we have learned in the 8th class.
No, he said man. Man or the parents? You know what the Talmud says? Both. 50%. 50% God and 50% man. What does this mean? God allows the life to come, but the man and the woman, each of them give a certain component to the makeup of the child, and it's a combination of the man and God. That's why the unity between the man and wife brings with it the divine presence, and that allows the birth to come. But this is a little bit of a diversion. What's your name? Ego. It's a little bit of a diversion. We were going back to the question that Michael wanted to tried to answer. He said, man is on a higher level than an angel. Can anyone here firmly say, I am on a higher level than an angel?
Does anyone here know angel to claim that he's on a higher level?
That's a good point. But we know what an angel does. We don't know angels, but we know what the purpose of an angel is. Yeah.
Yes, the answer why we are giving that the humans are on a higher level because we can decide.
We have free will.
Yeah,
You know what I want to
free
say?
will, and the angels have to do what they have to do.
Angels do what they're told to do. So we're on a higher level than an angel?
Yeah, because we can decide which way we are.
But it's uncomparable. For example, if we understand the gravitation as an angel, yeah? For example, an angel, who is an angel? Who is an angel? A gravitation, yeah? A gravitation. The things are falling on the earth.
Gravity, yes.
Gravity. So it's like an angel, yeah? It's like an angel. It's unmaterial, but it works.
So it's like a machine.
So it's uncomparable to us.
Is an angel close to God?
It can be not better or worse.
Is an angel connected to God?
So
It depends how you define higher level.
Okay, is he connected to God though? Yes. Are we connected to God? Is man connected to God?
Yes.
Really? Is everyone connected to God here? Yeah?
Soul is connected to God.
Our soul is connected to God. Very good.
The soul is the creation of God.
Soul is a creation of God. Are we connected to God? Is Michael connected to God? Rega. It's good. Are we connected to God? The answer to this question is the same answer to the question, are we on a higher level than an angel? What's the answer, are we on a higher level than an angel? It depends. It depends what we do with ourselves. We can't say we're on a higher level than an angel. We have the potential to be on a higher level than an angel. But that doesn't mean we are on a higher level. And in the same way as we just said now, what did you just say?
Yeah, with the soul.
With the soul. We can be connected through our souls, but that's only if we're focused on our souls. If we're not focused on our souls, we cannot say we're very connected, because we're not. We have a soul, and this soul enables us to become connected through our actions, through our relationship, through our prayer, through our study, all of it, the way we live our life. But if we don't, it's like we're putting the soul in the deep freeze. Can't say we're connected. So an angel is on a high level, but we have something that can take us even above the angels, and that's why God didn't make us perfect. He said, I want you to what? I want you to choose. I want you to want it yourself. It's called in the Kabbalistic writings that he doesn't want us to have lazy man's bread. He wants us to bake the bread ourselves and to enjoy it. Can you imagine? You go out to the fields and you plant the seeds and you come back and you water it, you come back, you take the seeds and you grind it and you put it together and you put it in the oven and it comes out and it's beautiful fresh bread. How good do you feel? You're probably exhausted, right? But it tastes good, you did it yourself. Or alternatively, it can just be delivered to your door and you eat it. When a person earns something for himself, it gives him a sense of satisfaction. If a person is born with nothing in a poor, urban neighborhood, and his father is a has no job, and his mother is this, and and he doesn't have anything, and he goes to night school, and he learns how to speak, and he learns how to use computers, and he goes and he gets qualifications, then he starts to starts a business, and starts to get rich, and he has money. You cannot compare this person to someone else who has the same amount of money that was just given to him when he was born. You cannot compare the two. Their relationship to what they have is completely different. They both have the same amount in the bank account. But the person who earns something for himself is a completely different being. The process of him achieving that actually changed and transformed him. So therefore, God gives us imperfections. Yeah? I'm not sure if everyone recognizes that, but we all have imperfections. And He gives us those imperfections in order that we should improve ourselves. Yeah? So a person should aim always to perfect himself. There's one last point I want to go on to. Does anyone want to ask something? Yeah.
A little cash here. For example, the angels can exist in all our universe. Yeah, it's not a problem for angel to be in every part of our universe or galaxy. Yeah, but a human being can exist only on the earth in such a small shichti. Yeah, 10 kilometers from the and till the higher how it's atmosphere 2 kilometers and only in such a small area can exist. So a human being is more in this comparison. Yeah, he's more important than
because he's limited in his space.
Yeah, because
maybe
for existing because if a man must exist, if he wants to live, he must be in such a very, very, very
limited place. But there are many things, there are many forms of existence that are limited also. That doesn't mean they have any value. I don't think that the fact that a person is limited in the period of time that he lives, and in the space that he lives, that's not necessarily a sign that it's more important. I think we've just gone to the last point, and then we'll wind up and then we can talk afterwards. Okay, can I just finish off? A person wants to grow, a person wants to improve, a person decides, I'm going to change myself. These are the things that are holding me back. We discussed this at the end of last class, I suddenly remember. I want to improve my relationship with my friends. I want to improve my relationship with my employers. I don't want to go to bed angry. I don't want to have nasty emails with my friends. I want to change. I want to improve myself. So a person just takes this upon himself. How far does he go with this to perfect himself? Sometimes there is a tendency that a person can think, I want to be perfect, and until I am perfect, I've not done the job, and I'm not satisfied. This is also a dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing. A person knows where he wants to go. He realizes his potential. And he thinks, until I've reached that point, I'm really nothing. This could be very negative. First of all, it's not true. Every step along the ladder is in itself a step towards growth, and each step is in itself an achievement. And the other side of it is, if a person doesn't achieve what he wants to achieve in the time span that he wants to achieve it, he can become despondent, negative, depressed. And if a person becomes depressed and he has a low self-image, it's going to prevent him going further. There's a source here from a research project by someone called Dr. Joshua Mark. He made a research and he called it the power of the positive. A person wants to be positive, but what should he do? He says like this: what's the difference between a healthy perfection and excessive? When is it healthy and when is it too much? Well, we're now in the world that we want to be bigger, we want to be better. What is healthy and what is too much? He says an excessive perfectionist, someone who goes too far, sets standards, he places standards for himself that are beyond reason. Whereas a healthy person sets high standards, but they're reachable. An excessive perfectionist is never satisfied with less than perfection, while a healthy perfectionist, listen to this, a healthy perfectionist enjoys the journey as well as the outcome. A person should enjoy the actual journey. It's not a question of when am I going to get there already. No, enjoy yourself. One of the things that stops people from being happy in this life is because they're always waiting for the next step. I'm not going to be happy till I get to school. I'm not going to be happy until I get to university. I'm not going to be happy until I'm married, and then he's married. I'm not happy until I have children. I'm not happy until the children get to school. I'm not happy until the children are married and are out the house. I'm not happy until his whole life goes by waiting for the next stage. Then I'll be happy, then I'll be happy. You don't want to be happy? when he's in a nursing home, 95 years old, got nothing to do anymore. He's not going to be happy. Yeah? A person has to enjoy the journey. He has to be happy with exactly where he is today. If a person is always seeking perfection and always wants more, and he's always looking at the goal, he'll never be happy. He has to enjoy each step. Yeah? He says an excessive perfectionist, but this will stop. Someone who is excessive, too much when he wants to become a perfectionist, he becomes dysfunctionally depressed, he becomes low when he experiences failure or disappointment. Yeah? People who climb Mount Everest, yeah, they often tried a few times. They didn't do it, and they have to come back for more. If a person went the first time and he failed, they say, forget it, I'm never going to do it. He'll never succeed. A person along the journey to reaching a higher goal, inevitably there will be failures. Otherwise it means that he didn't set himself a proper goal. There are things that a person does achieve. A person invests in business. Not every single thing he does will be successful. No, it's his reaction to the failures and how he goes on. A healthy perfectionist bounces back from failure and disappointment quickly and with energy. Okay? So first of all, we have to realize, let's just recap on what we learned a little bit today. We have to realize that the whole goal of Judaism is to improve ourselves. That's why we're here in this world. And this was something that we received with the Torah. Part of the Torah was actually improving and growing on our character. In fact, every mitzvah is part of improving our character. Then we said the ultimate way to channel that is to try to imitate God to as much as we can. Then we said that a person has to always find the medium path in between the two things. Then we said a person has his shortcomings. There are things that about a person he would like to improve. He should not be upset about that. Why? Because God made you imperfect. He made you imperfect in order that you should earn perfection. And that should be a source of happiness, not a source of depression. And then when a person finally decides, this is what we've just said now, when a person finally decides that he's going to go for it, and he's going to change his life, and he's going to set goals for himself, he has to realize that these goals are not just the end goal, but they're actually processes in growth, and that at each step along the process he will slowly improve, and he should take satisfaction from each and every step. And if he doesn't, and he only sees it as all or nothing, I either achieve my goal or I don't, then he'll be depressed and he'll never get anywhere. One of the main principles of Judaism is not all or nothing. A person says, if I can't do everything, then I shouldn't do anything. Such a person will never succeed. Everything comes in stages. In the same way as becoming a doctor comes in stages, in the same way as becoming a millionaire comes in stages, so too when it comes to perfecting a person and trying to fulfill the potential of his soul, that also comes in stages. And a person has to realize he's on the journey, and he has to enjoy that journey and try to improve and grow with every step and every day. Thank you for your attention.